of the best Red Friday edition of the year. Thank you so much for joining us. Chiefs fans, give us your predictions. We want the prediction, who wins, and what's the score. That is what we want today, as it is the final day of the work week leading into Super Bowl 57. Jake and Fulton Caster with you. Text line, hit us up, 785-272-9429. Give me your winner, your score, and your MVP. But instead of MVP, let's go with X Factor, because if you pick the Chiefs and you pick them to win and they score a lot of points, it's probably going to be one Patrick LaVon Mahomes II. We've got tons to get to. Chiefs keys. We also get to our big chief. We will talk a little NFL honors. Jeff Kerr will join us, talk a little Eagles as well. We will discuss the Chiefs versus the Blitz. Spags better bring the Blitz. Or should we pump the brakes a little bit? Let's pump the brakes a little bit. So let's talk with Ken Swanson. We will get to plenty on this edition of Mic'd Up. Let us know on YouTube. Hit us up in the comment section as well. We'd love to get your take on this Red Friday edition. Prediction number 1. Chiefs 35, Eagles 31. MVP? Harrison Butker. Does he hit like some monster field goals in this game?
That would just be thoroughly entertaining. Also, the money you could have went off that would be absurd.
And we will get into some fun Super Bowl prop bets.
Yeah, today's fun bet day.
That we can't actually bet on.
Can't make money off of these, but we can talk about how fun they are.
Yeah, we can. We can get into that. So we will get to that. It's the last Chiefs keys to the game for the 2022 season. For the big one. Would it be... Hey, how do I lead anything off right now? Number 1 key to this game. It is so simple. Turnovers. When the Chiefs don't turn it over, they win. When the Chiefs force turnovers, they win. It is not rocket science. It is not the new Common Core math to some of you boomers out there who still don't know how to do Common Core math. It is very simple. It's not like trying to figure out an iPhone for somebody over the age of 60. It's very easy. It's not difficult.
No, it's
the
pretty
power
simple.
button on your remote. No turnovers. If the Eagles have 1 or 2 and the Chiefs have 0, they will win. If the Chiefs have 2 and the Eagles have 0, it's a real good chance the Eagles are having a parade on Wednesday.
Darn Philadelphians.
Do you turn the football over? Chiefs haven't turned it over here the last couple of games. Guess what? Neither have the Eagles. The Eagles are one of the best teams in the NFL in turnover margin. We can talk about blitzing up the A gaps. We can talk about, red zone. We can talk about a lot of things. Going for it on 4th down. Do you turn it over? And then what happens with that turnover?
Yeah.
Ooh, is it a good return? Is it a pick 6? Is it a scoop and score? Ask the Baltimore Ravens. It ain't hard. That's number 1, turnovers. It'd be weird if it wasn't turnovers for me.
For you, honestly, yes, it would feel a little weird if your final number 1 key of the season would not be turnovers. For me, we're going to start with a simple one. Limit explosive plays, which can tie into my usual key that's been the past few months of tackling. But limit explosive plays. The Eagles' offense is the best in the NFL at is second best in the NFL explosive plays. Number 1 is the Chiefs. They're separated by about 3 plays this year. this is an offense predicated on ripping off big runs when they can, and more importantly than anything else, this is a team that when you start coming up to defend the run, when you start leaving stuff one-on-one on the outside, they will chuck that ball to Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, and they will make plays. I think, and we're going to get into this more as today goes along, there's going to be moments to where Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson and L'Jarius Sneed are asked, you got to make a play and you got to stop them. If the Eagles hit on their home runs, it's going to be a long day for Kansas City. But if you can keep a lid on the offense, you can keep the Eagles from ripping off those, 15, 20-yard runs, these, 30, 40-yard pass plays, then you got a much better chance in terms of slowing down the Eagles offense. So for me, biggest thing, you got to limit the shot plays. You got to limit the explosive plays. Make Philadelphia have to march some of these drives down the field.
My second key of the game is going to be fourth down. Andy Reid has started to get a little bit more aggressive. It was fourth down in the AFC title game, and he went for it instead of kicking the field goal. Now, it might have been because field goals in the AFC title game were difficult. But if you look back at it, that would have been a pretty good
would have been chippy.
Yeah. And he went for it. I think Andy Reid has become a little bit more aggressive in that situation, and he threw the football. The Eagles go for it on fourth down a lot.
Yeah,
32 times in the regular season. That's almost twice a game. They go for it a lot. That was the fourth most in the regular season at 32 times. The Chiefs went for it on fourth down in the regular season 12 times. That is not a team that goes for it a lot on fourth down. And fourth down for the Eagles normally is when it's 4th and 1. And they run the quarterback sneak. And it works almost every single time. And it's not like, Sex Panther where it works 60% of the time. It works every time. No, it really does work almost every time. But the Eagles will go for it on fourth down in this game a bunch. And that's what Nick Sirianni does. And I will give credit to Nick Sirianni. Everybody starts talking about the head coaching matchup, and Andy Reid is the greatest offensive mind of this generation and has been there before. This is his 4th Super Bowl with this team. He knows what's going on. And I agree with all of that. The one thing that Nick Sirianni does, I think, very, very well is he is very pragmatic when it comes to, I know who we are, and we have a secret weapon, which is we convert on the 4th and 1 every time almost. And when I say every time, I mean 95% of the time.
Yeah.
He will not be afraid to run it on 3rd and 5, knowing all we need is 3.5 yards. And then I know we're going to go for it again on fourth down. That is one thing that I think NFL play callers and NFL coaches don't do very well, is if you already know you're going to go for it. And a lot of the times the Eagles will go for it on their own side of the field. They will do that. But what happens is once you cross midfield, if it's 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 4, that's one thing that Nick Sirianni does, I think, very, very well. And it is a huge boost to this team is I'm going to run it on 3rd and 4. Oh, I don't get it. No big deal. It's 4th and 1. Quarterback sneak. We get the first down. When they cross midfield, they are going to go for it virtually every time on 4th and 1. They will. That's just what they do. And you are going to have to find a way to stop them at least once. In the game against the 49ers, the Eagles went for it 3 times. They got all 3. Fourth down, they were 3 for 3. They weren't great on 3rd down, 5 of 15. But really, it's not 5 of 15, it's 8 of 15 because they converted on 3 4th downs. That is why this team is so difficult to stop, because they are so efficient on 4th down. And Nick Sirianni is so, he knows what he's doing. This is what they do. So 4th down, can the Chiefs get a big stop on 4th down? But also, Do they go for it on 4th down? Do they get the 4th down conversion? The Chiefs are not good at 3rd and 1. They are not good at 4th and 1.
They're weirdly, historically awful at it.
Will they kick the field goal or will they go for it? And, circumstance matters. I understand that. But this is not if you listen to the show, I hope you understand that we are not, it's all or nothing. Oh, they go for it on 4th down. Well, no. Okay. Let's be a little bit, if you're up by 6 and there's 3 minutes to go in the game and the ball's at the 10-yard line and it's 4th and 1, well, all you need to do is kick a damn field goal and you go up by 2 scores. Okay. Come on now. Let's use our brains. But that's what's going to be a big one for the Chiefs and for the Eagles, 4th down in this game. It would not stun me if the Eagles go for it a lot on 4th down, even on their own 40-yard line. Can the Chiefs get a stop? Can they convert? 4th down. Big aspect in this one.
No, I'm with you. I think it'll be very important. My second key in this game, the offense needs to stay on schedule. We've talked a lot this week and last about the Eagles pass rush. That's 70 sacks this season. Most in the league by a very large gap. It was the Eagles, a gap, and then the Chiefs in second. A thing that makes a ferocious pass rush even more aggressive and more deadly is if it is an obvious passing down, which is normally 3rd and long. They get you in 3rd and long. The Eagles are just going to say, boys up front, pin your earbacks and go hurt somebody. And they have been fantastic at that this year. A way to neutralize that is you need to stay on schedule. You need to avoid negative plays. You need to avoid 3rd and long situations. This is a Chiefs offense that can convert 3rd and longs. They convert 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, all that stuff, 3rd and much longer than that at their own historic rate. They are ridiculously good at converting 3rd and longs. But this Eagles defense is built for that.
Yeah,
it is built in specifically those situations because the corners and the secondary can play a bit more aggressive and even a bit softer to keep you in front. And that pass rush just goes and attacks because they know they don't need to worry about any fakes, any actions, nothing. You got to stay on schedule at 1st and 2nd down to make your 3rd downs more manageable. You need to keep this defense guessing. Now, the benefit for the Chiefs is they have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Keeping a defense guessing is kind of just what they do. But it makes everything for the Eagles a lot easier if they get you off schedule or on the early downs. So find a way to get yards, take your check downs, even if they're just, and Mahomes done a great job with that. Even if it's just 3 yards on 1st or 2nd down, you're getting something. When you start getting to the 3rd and 10s or if something really negative happens, holding penalties, false starts, stuff like that, and you start going really far behind, that's when this could get interesting. So stay on schedule offensively. That's going to help you slow down this Eagles pass rush just a little bit. Don't give them those obvious passing downs to pin their ears back.
And also don't get to 3rd and 1.
Yeah, also just stay within 3rd and 3 to 3rd and 6.
Yeah, we don't need
those are the good ones. Don't go to 3rd and 1. I don't get why this team can't convert those. It's very weird.
It's because Andy Reid has PTSD of what happened in 2019.
Well, yeah, the Chiefs won't sneak.
Denver.
They won't sneak with Patrick Mahomes.
That's stupid.
But even when they do sneak, it doesn't work. It's weird.
This would be epic. This would truly be getting.
I think you and I might be on the same page.
The demons away. It's 4th and 1 at midfield. If the Chiefs get the 1st down, they win the game. If they don't, the Eagles have the football and they can go and kick a field goal. 4th and 1. Andy Reid's like, quarterback sneak Patrick Mahomes. And Mahomes sneaks it for the win. Except they will never do that because they don't practice Mahomes sneaking, and therefore it won't happen. But wouldn't that be amazing?
I will say, when Patrick Mahomes was asked about it, I believe it was even just earlier this year, they finally brought it up again about what it was. He did say he asked Andy to do it all the time, and he said, maybe we have to save it for the Super Bowl or something. I don't think it'll ever happen. I truly don't. But if they were ever going to pull out the Pat sneak, I think it's a game like this. Yeah, where they're like, all right, we gotta really get deep in the bag.
The headlines would be Mahomes sneaks Super Bowl, something like that.
We're not headline writers.
Amazing. Alrighty, Big Chief, it is very simple. It is the biggest game of the year. In the big games, your studs have to show up, and mine is Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, You were going up against linebackers who are not great. You were going up against safeties who are not particularly dominant. There's no power bomb Derwin James. Jesse Bates
getting spine busted out
Jesse
here.
Bates is not there. Poyer and Hyde are not there. Time to eat, big fella. Time to eat. So big players, your stars have to show up.
Yeah.
Stars have to show up.
In a game like this is always the nearest note of this. There's just guys that you don't expect to make plays and be big who come up and make plays. The Chiefs defense is going to need to play well, and I think Steve Spagnuolo is going to execute a more aggressive game plan. Rookie corner's got to step up. And I'm a man wearing a Trent McDuffie jersey today.
You are wearing
so
a
I
Trent
felt
McDuffie
in honor
jersey.
of that, I have but one choice for my big chief. It's Trent McDuffie because he's going to be asked numerous times to go make plays on Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. He held his own against T. Higgins and especially Jamar Chase. Can he do it one more time? His rookie secondary, they've gotten old real fast. They just need one more good performance because if they can hold up on their own more, Spagnuolo can commit more to the box, more on blitzes, more on the run, and they're in a better position to stop this Eagles offense.
Low-key, we haven't talked a lot about L'Jarius Sneed is going to play in this game.
He is. That is huge.
Now, he was limited yesterday for some odd reason.
So he picked up a knee injury. He was limited with a knee injury. Reports have come out today. He's still going to be on the practice report with that knee injury. They're still working through it. It is not expected to affect his status for the game. He might be needing to work through it. He might be limited again today. It is not expected he will miss the game due to the knee injury. That is what he picked up yesterday.
Yeah. That's a big difference. It's kind of like,
important.
He didn't play the entire game. He got hurt in week or what? Play 5,
something like that.
Yeah. Having L'Jarius Sneed there to help stop the run could be a big factor. That is our big Chiefs. It was NFL honors last night. We will get to who won what, and we will talk with Jeff Kerr of CBS coming up at the bottom of the hour. And Chiefs fans, you should be happy because if you were a smart individual like myself and young Fulton, you were rewarded for believing in QB1, Patrick Mahomes. He was your MVP. Now, Fulton, you became so close to your bold prediction of Mahomes will be unanimous MVP.
I have two people that I am now mortal enemies with.
48 of the 50 voters voted Patrick Mahomes the MVP. 1 voted for Burrow. 1 voted for Allen.
I want to find the person that voted for Josh Allen, and I want to have some words. Just, you know what? The Joe Burrow one, we can move past that. I'm mad at you, but I'm not like absurdly mad. The Josh Allen voter and I need to have a conversation about just what exactly did you see that made you do that stupid decision?
Yeah, that was interesting.
So close.
Defensive player of the year went to Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
I am surprised that Chris Jones only got 1 first place vote. I thought it would be a little closer than that. I did.
Disappointed in you voters.
The offensive player of the year, Justin Jefferson.
As it should be.
Patrick Mahomes came in second.
Interesting.
Like, I really do think you got to eliminate quarterbacks for offensive player of the year.
I think you do too, since the MVP's kind of become a quarterback award.
Yes.
I think offensive player of the year should go to best offensive player. That's not a quarterback.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if the MVP is quarterback and Patrick Mahomes, I mean, like they're two different situations.
Yeah, the separation kind of needs to exist.
Coach of the year, Brian Daboll.
Very fitting. How he got that Giants team to the playoffs is a mystery.
Comeback player of the year. Did Geno Smith get hurt, or what was he coming back from?
He came back from the fact that his career didn't exist.
Okay.
Like, do you know how many starts he had made over roughly the past 7 years?
I have no idea.
5.
Okay.
His career was over. He was in quarterback purgatory.
So this comeback was more so because he didn't get the chance, or
the comeback is he came back from the depths of quarterback hell.
Okay.
To steal Geno's quote, they wrote him off and he didn't write back.
I'm upset that they still haven't renamed this the Alex Smith Award. That really bugs me. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Garrett Wilson.
Fitting.
Defensive Rookie of the Year, Sauce Gardner.
Of course.
The 2 Rookies of the Year came from the same team. Just
Jets got a future, man.
If they had a decent quarterback.
They got a future, man.
Assistant Coach of the Year, D'Amico Ryans.
Incredibly great.
Your Walter Payton Man of the Year went to Dak Prescott.
Good for Dak.
So that is the NFL honors, including Kelly Clarkson roasting Tom Brady and his thirst traps. That was hilarious. Coming up, we're going to talk with Jeff Kerr. Mic'd up. Jake Fulton with you on this Red Friday edition, as we've got plenty to get to coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. We'll talk with Ken Swanson of the KC Sports Network. We will get to Kent. We will also get to our final predictions and Super Bowl fun prop bets. We will get to all of that. But right now, we are joined by the man who's covered the Eagles for quite some time, and he's down there right now in Arizona for Super Bowl 54. Jeff Kerr of CBS joins us. Jeff, how's Phoenix? How's Radio Row? How's everything going?
Jake, I'm on Radio Row right now, and let me tell you, it is beyond loud. It's beyond insane. It's beyond. Oh, so sorry. I guess Myles Garrett just walked by. Hey, Jake. Yeah, see, this is what happens, Jake. You know, I get a Kerr, and all of a sudden, like pointing out, look who's here. You know, it's crazy. Anybody's here today, Jake.
Well, what is the vibe there? Is it excitement? Is it nervousness? Do people think the Eagles are going to win? Do they think the Chiefs are going to win? What's kind of the vibe for everybody?
I swear, Jake, it's 50-50, right? So I was at the Chiefs the last 2 days. They are the most cool, calm, and collected team you've ever seen. It's almost like they've been to 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. But as you well know, there's only been like 17, 18 guys that were on that team 2 years ago. So it's refreshing to hear a team that's as calm as they are going into that game. And then you got the Eagles. I thought they were a little, I don't want to say uptight. I just don't think that, like, they were getting tired of all the media stuff. But Thursday, they were as loose as can be. It's like, I think these teams are just ready to play this game.
When it comes to, this type of matchup between the Chiefs and the Eagles, who do you think benefits, with the win more? Is it Mahomes, who gets his second Super Bowl, and Reed his second Super Bowl? Is it Jalen Hurts, the first one? Who do you think ends up legacy-wise with the win here?
Well, obviously, if Mahomes gets it, he's going to win the MVP and the Super Bowl in the same season for the first time since '99 as quarterback, which is really insane if you think about it. And then he's going to have 2 Super Bowls, 2 MVPs before he turns 30. He'll be what I think is Peyton Manning by 5 years there. He'll be the first one to ever do that before he turns 30. I mean, he could retire right now. He doesn't even need to win. He can retire right now. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's just the way Patrick Mahomes is. Andy Reid, his legacy set. It's just how high can he climb? If he gets that second one, now all of a sudden you're saying Andy Reid's the top 5 coach all time because he's top 5 in wins, he's top 5 in postseason wins, top 2 in postseason wins, and now you got 2 Super Bowls to your resume. He's gonna win more with Patrick Mahomes. I think it's gonna be of Andy. How many can he win? And Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. This could be the start of maybe their own little run with what Mahomes and Reid have been going through.
All righty, let's get to this game. I've asked everybody on the show this same question. You've got 4 aspects of the game: Chiefs offense, Chiefs defense, Eagles offense, Eagles defense. What side of the football for what team do you think is the most important?
You know what? I think it's the Eagles defense against the Chiefs offensive line if I have to pick one. And I think the Chiefs offensive line is going to be the best offensive line Eagles have faced all year. But this whole Hassan Reddick lining up against Andrew Wiley thing, that would scare me if I was a Chiefs fan, just because he's such a game breaker. I know Chiefs fans have been saying to me, you got Jet McKinnon. I asked Jet McKinnon about the other day. He said, look, I'm going to do whatever I can to protect 15, obviously. But he said, like, look, he needs to be catching passes. He needs to be running the offense because he's a vital part of that. So if he's trying to chip Hassan Reddick all the time, that means someone else is getting free, or Patrick has to get rid of the ball quick, and it can't be the Jerick McKinnon. So when we were talking about that, I thought that was very interesting. And Hassan Reddick isn't looking at Andrew Wiley as a matchup. He's just looking at the guy in front of him. He said, well, I'm going to be going up against Trey Smith, too. I'm going to be seeing Creed Humphrey. I'm going to be seeing Orlando Brown. And Orlando Brown had a really good piece of advice, too. When I said, when you get lined up against Hassan Reddick, he said, look, if I want to get paid the big bucks, I got to stop a guy who clearly gets to the quarterback as much as he does. So I think that's the big matchup that I'd like to talk about all week. On the Chiefs side of things, I want to say the most important thing for them is the wide receivers. I think they're deeper at wide receiver. I've said that all year than last year, but you got Juju Smith-Schuster's got to make plays. We're not seeing Mecole Hardman on it. I don't know if we're going to see Kadarius Toney. It's going to be interesting. Just who's going to be available for them to make those types of plays. And I just don't like how if it's just Juju. Like, you got to go to Sky Moore. You got to go to other players here. Like, they're deeper, but they need to be healthy in this game.
We're talking with Jeff Kerr, covers the Eagles as well as the NFL as a whole for CBS Sports. And you've covered this Eagle team for a long time. And, we've noted, and a lot of people have noted, the positives and negatives for both sides of each team. But one is that the Eagles have not played an offense or a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. When you look at that type of comparison, what does that mean to you?
Well, I don't think any team's ever played an offense or a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, if you think about it. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is going to present a lot of problems for them. And I'm kind of getting a read on this here. I don't think the Eagles are going to play the zone coverage they normally play with John Pickett. I think they're going to be a little more aggressive because they know Patrick Mahomes has the most throws inside of 5 yards in the NFL, and coincidentally has the highest pass rating inside of 5 yards in the NFL. The Chiefs' offense is very creative. It's all quick passes now. It's get the ball quick to Travis Kelce, get the yards after the catch. Juju Smith-Schuster, Jerick McKinnon, I mentioned Juju already, but guys like that. It's create plays after the catches. Mahomes just has to be the point guard, and he said that yesterday. Between those last Super Bowl, he tried to do too much. I think he's going to go into this Super Bowl with, look, I'm going to get the ball to my guys and let them make the plays. Let Darius Slay and James Bradbury make the mistake. Let Avonte Maddox make the mistake. But it's going to be difficult against the number one pass defense. Usually when you're the MVP or you're the passing yards leader against the number one pass defense in Super Bowls, it doesn't go well in their favor. But Mahomes is built different too.
Jalen Hurts. Do we think the shoulder's an issue? And people are pointing out, well, he didn't throw the ball very well against the 49ers. He didn't throw the ball very well against the Giants, and his numbers weren't great. And I said, yes, you are correct. But I also point out they didn't need him to throw the football. They didn't have to. I mean, the defense for the Eagles completely shut down the 49ers when Brock Purdy went down. And against the Giants, they got up early, and they didn't need him to throw the football. So I don't know if you can look at those two games and say, oh, well, his shoulder is completely really hurting because he didn't throw the football. He didn't need to. But if he has to, is it a concern at all? Or, you know what, these 2 weeks off are going to make it all better, and he's going to be close to 100% like Mahomes is with his ankle?
Oh, you nailed it right on the head. I'll say this. I think the extra week helps Jalen Hurts' shoulder. I don't think he's as banged up as they make it out to be, but it's still a concern. I mean, you have to think twice about. By the way, Jalen Hurts' biggest hater just walked by me, Chris Sims. So anyway, but I feel like it's banged up here. It's weird. Like I feel it's sore, but that extra week's going to help. But if I'm the Chiefs, I'm definitely getting all the pressure on Jalen and forcing him to kind of land on that shoulder at times, when forcing him to run more. And I think he's going to run a lot because the Chiefs play man defense. So it's when you tackle him, you got to get it banged up a bit. Jalen Hurts hasn't been that great on the deep ball the last two games. Not like he's had to be either, but he was 50% for the year. He was 30% in the postseason. It's a concern, no doubt, like Mahomes' high ankle sprain, but I feel like it's not going to be an issue until deeper in the game. If the Eagles build an early lead, it's going to be like the last two games, right?
Mm-hmm. What about the offense for the Eagles and Jalen Hurts running it? I'm with you. I think he's going to run a ton. I think there are going to be a ton of design runs because you don't have to worry about, the next week. I think that is such a big factor in the regular season is, we got to make sure he's healthy for the next week, for the long haul. That's why you don't want to run him a ton, maybe in the regular season. Do you think he runs a ton? I mean, I think the over 10.5 rushing attempts is an absolute lock for Jalen Hurts because he's going to do at least 3 quarterback sneaks. They do it every damn game. So I look at this as the Eagles are going to run Jalen Hurts, and the Chiefs have not seen someone like Jalen Hurts.
It's a Super Bowl. Yeah, of course he's going to run, right? Yeah, I agree. I feel like that is going to be and by the way, you got to count kneel downs in that too. So, if there's a couple kneel downs at the end of the game, that's going to play a role in that. But yeah, he's going to run. I really do think they're going to go all out. Like when I talked to Tony Romo last week, we were discussing how many different ways this offense can beat you. And you need a full offseason to prepare for it. He goes, if he goes outside the pocket, you have to guess whether he's going to run it, whether he's going to scramble and then throw it, or just flick the wrist. And somebody's going to be wide open because he's got two guys that just dominate one-on-one matchups in A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. And yeah, I definitely feel like he's going to take off, especially against that man defense. It's something that the Chiefs are going to have to be ready for. And guys like Willie Gay and Nick Bolton, I think they're going to be huge stopping that Eagles offense this week.
We're talking with Jeff Kerr, covers the Eagles and the rest of the NFL for CBS. You can follow him on Twitter at Jeff Kerr CBS. Is this a high-scoring game or a low-scoring game? Because you got two great offenses in this one. Do you think it is in the 20s and maybe even into the 30s?
What was the over-under, Jake?
I think it's 50. Is it 50 and a half?
50 and a half
Yeah.
is what we seem to be sitting at.
Wait for boys. I had it at 57, so take the over.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of points in this game. I'm with you. I really, really do. Speaking of Jalen Hurts, go ahead.
They're the two best offenses in football. I mean, let's just put this way. I know the Eagles have a really good defense. I think the Chiefs have a solid defense, but these two teams are going to score. That's it. Bottom line.
Do you think there's not a lot of press and a lot of talk about Mahomes' ankle? Do they just think he's going to be fine? Or I think the ankle is still a huge deal. And the reason why is it won't take but one play for that thing to re-aggravate and to, tweak it again. And then it becomes a completely different game, I think. So I'm surprised there's not as much talk about his ankle.
Yeah, the game plan for me is get Patrick Mahomes outside the pocket. Like, he was so efficient in the pocket against Cincinnati, and he didn't have to use that ankle as much. And yeah, it was bothering him, but get him to roll around. Then what's going to happen? He could tweak it, like you said. He might have to miss some time in this game. You're right. I feel like everybody's talking about a shoulder, but not Patrick Mahomes' high ankle sprain, which isn't getting better. And I know he likes to troll and he took that big step last week when he was in Kansas City, like to show people he's fine, but there's a big difference when Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweater chasing you outside the pocket than just standing in there and beating, whoever he was facing on the Bengals last week.
All righty. Last two for the road. Final two questions I got for you. All right. The first one, who's the X factor? What player is not Mahomes, not Hurts? Who's the X factor in this game that could play a big role?
You know what? Everybody's saying Devonta Smith. How about we go A.J. Brown? He hasn't had those big games this postseason. I feel like he's due. And I pity Trent McDuffie or the JRC, whoever's on A.J. Brown, because if Jalen Hurts gets enough time to throw that ball downfield, A.J. Brown's going to have a huge day. So give me A.J. Brown. Do you want to call him an X factor, Jake? I don't know, but he's good enough, right?
All right, last one. Give me a prediction. Who's the winner and what's the score?
I went 30-27 Eagles. I think the Chiefs are good. I just think that Philadelphia with their offense, and I always go in between the trenches, and I know the Chiefs have a really good offensive line, but I think the Eagles defensive line makes a play at the end when Mahomes is driving.
Jeff, enjoy the fun down there, the last day of Radio Row. Enjoy the game coming up on Sunday. We appreciate it.
I'll tell you what, Jake, I can't wait to be down there, man. I'm here till Tuesday. I'm soaking it all in.
That is awesome. Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports, going with the Eagles 30-27. A lot of 30s and a lot of 20 score predictions.
Yeah.
Which I am surprised then that the line is still 50.5. I mean, because basically what you're saying is the final score is going to be 26-24.
Basically. Somewhere in that ballpark.
And the only way I think it's 26-24 is if you get, like a Chiefs Super Bowl when they faced the Bucks, where the Chiefs offense just couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
I see the Chiefs. I see a better offensive line and I think a more complete Patrick Mahomes, because he's willing to check it down and willing to do that. I don't think that'll happen again. That's why I think the over. I'm surprised the over is not higher than 50.5.
Does it have a bit of the scent of what does Vegas know that we don't know?
Well, they do know because they've got the time machine.
They have the time machine. We know. Yeah, that's why the buildings are so big.
That's why we are wondering. They obviously know that this final score is going to be 27-24, and it's going to be a 51 point or a 50 point, like 25-20. We know that. Like, we know.
Would it be a more hilarious ending than if this game is tied 24-24, late fourth quarter, and whichever team wins kicks a game-winning field goal as time expires to both win the game and hit the over and cover their part of the spread?
Here's the thing.
Would just be a legendary kick for gamblers around the world.
Here's the thing. We've had a lot of people think that the NFL is rigged.
Yes.
How, it's scripted and all that kind of stuff, right?
A very unintelligent take.
We need more talk about whether or not sports books do have a time machine.
I think that, I think sports books having a time machine is more plausible than the NFL being rigged. And I say that without an ounce of hyperbole.
The accuracy of sports books with what they put the lines at
Ridiculous.
is nobody's as good as at their job.
Yeah.
As the Vegas lines in sports.
Yeah.
Nobody's better at their job than they are at saying, like, the perfect example, Big 12 title game. I had a nice little parlay going, and all I needed was 200 yards passing for Will Howard, right? 200 yards. Everything else hit. Deuce Vaughn touchdown, Deuce Vaughn over receiving yards,
Yeah.
Something. I mean, I was one away. It was 200 yards. Will Howard had 199. That ain't a coincidence. They knew. I'm telling you.
Someone got a sports almanac and brought it back.
They did. Emmett Brown.
And it somehow has not affected our present, or at least that we don't.
Nobody talks about it. They're just like,
we just let it go.
Oh, the NFL
we're unlucky.
Yeah, the NFL scripted. Oh, wow, they're just the.
No, Vegas is a time machine.
That needs to be talked about more. Coming up next, we'll finish off this noon hour. Last week, I think. Might have been this week. This week's dragged forever.
That's true.
But there was a report that said that Texas and Oklahoma were not going to join the SEC early. They said couldn't figure it out. And you said they are staying for the next 2 years. And I responded with, no, they won't.
You said
no, they won't.
You said they'll find a way because the schedule got released, and you were making a comment about, when will Oklahoma play K-State again? And I said, as now, next year. And because my reason, and I will just point this out to make sure Jake doesn't misconstrue my thoughts.
No.
is all I said was I will believe they're not playing the next season in the Big 12 in 24. I will believe it when I finally officially see it. Because until I see it, I'm just going to believe that they're going to be here.
And
now I can see it.
And I told you.
And you're right.
I said, Fulton, there's way too much bloody money to be made in this situation. There is no way that ESPN and the SEC are going to wait 2 years to bring Oklahoma and Texas in. They're going to find a way. They've got a whole year to figure it out. Lo and behold, it only took less than a week.
Yeah,
the
turnaround of this was ridiculous.
They are gone. And it's going to cost them $100 million between the two of them.
Thank you. Thank you guys for the money.
Now, that is about $30 million less, maybe even $40 million less than what they should be owed. But there's going to be some other situations and circumstances when it comes to this. Now, I don't know who's going to pay that $100 million. I don't know if that is the SEC, if that's Oklahoma, if that's Texas, if it doesn't matter, they're going to combine. I know Texas has got the money.
Yeah.
Oklahoma doesn't have Texas money right now, but I'm not for sure how, but you knew this was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen because there was too much money and good riddance, goodbye, adios. So the Big 12 is going to get $100 million. I don't know, however they're going to determine it over the next 5 years, 2 years, whatever. But they'll get $100 million. And if you think about it, the remaining 8 schools will get that $100 million. I don't know how much, the 4 incoming schools are going to receive of that.
Don't know how that's going to get broken down.
But I would imagine that $100 million should go to the 8 other institutions. But now at least we've got some closure. And now we know that K-State has played Oklahoma for the last time.
And Lord knows how long.
Maybe in 50 years.
Yep.
It might take that long, which sucks. It really does.
Happy trails, boys.
Coming up next, we're going to get into Steve Spagnuolo. To blitz or not to blitz? Mic'd up on a Super Bowl Red Friday here in the capital city. We appreciate you stopping by. Give us your Chiefs and Eagles Super Bowl prediction. Love to get your thoughts on this Red Friday edition. Jake Fulton, Fulton Caster. Hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Chiefs 31, Eagles 24. Whichever wide receiver steps up, that is what they are going with for a prediction from the 785. Hit us up on YouTube. Check us out. Let us know in the comments. Go to youtube.com, search Sports on 580. Very easy, very simple. Check us out on our website, 580www.com. The final Super Bowl edition of Everyone Loves the List. Super Bowl performances. Now, we are not going, are we going halftime included or just games?
I'm going just player performance.
Just going football purposes, not halftime.
No,
because if you do include halftime, Prince is
I mean, yeah, if we did halftime shows, the number one's been decided already, and we would both have the same thing.
Okay.
It is Prince. It is Purple Rain in the rain.
In the rain. In Miami.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
it,
okay.
nothing. No.
But can you include that in there? Is that like number 3?
If you listen, Jake, if you want to stretch the bounds and add Prince's show here, I'm not going to tell you no. It's Super Bowl Red Friday.
Yeah.
It's
Anything
light.
goes.
It's airy around here.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, I'm not going to tell you no. I'm going to have just player performances on this list. But if you yourself want to do that.
Let's also be honest. If there is going to be a performance that cracks the top 4, it'd be Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
I mean, high school aged Jake. Janet Jackson. Let's be real. Let's be real. It'll be tied at 24 at the end of regulation. Chiefs win walk-off fashion in an OT, 30-24. Chiefs 35, Eagles 24. How about that?
Right.
Okay, we got a lot going on.
I like that we got a prediction for only the second ever overtime game in Super Bowl history.
Yeah. The other one, Tom Brady. Tom Brady.
With new rules, however, can't have that first possession walk-off anymore.
No, if it's a touchdown, it's a walk-off, isn't it?
They have modified the rules for this postseason. The Bills rule is in effect now in the postseason overtime. No matter what the score is, both teams get a possession.
That's dumb.
Incredibly so.
That's dumb.
But that is the rule for this postseason.
They screwed everything up. Man,
both teams get a possession.
That's so stupid.
I don't disagree.
It's so dumb.
I don't disagree.
Play defense.
I know.
You have half of your team.
I know.
Half of your team. You need to have a complete team. Play defense.
I know.
Guys sound like a boomer. Play defense.
I mean,
I'm
not going to comment on your age.
Hey, you know as well as I do, Fulton. I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill. It should be sudden death.
I know.
Win the coin toss, kick the field goal. You win. You want to know why? There are 2 sides to every team. That's how this is won. If you don't like it, guess what? Invest more on defense. Maybe put together a team better. I don't know. Play better defense. I don't want to get. I don't want to get all fired up on that. I really don't.
I mean, you already were.
We're going to get to Kent Swanson coming up at the bottom of the hour. Super Bowl performances. We'll get to our fun prop bets. We'll get to all that coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. But right now, we are going to discuss blitzing or not to blitz.
That is the question. Shakespearean for those of you out there.
Spags has been less blitzy, if you will, this year. According to the Ringer, having known Spagnuolo's DNA, it's not in his DNA to be conservative. The Chiefs have blitzed 24% of the time this season, their lowest rate under Spagnuolo. They have been successful in sending 5 or more rushers, 9th, according to those numbers. Jalen Hurts, when he is blitzed, his rank, 23rd. Success rate, 20th. When you don't blitz Jalen Hurts and you rush 4, his rank, 4th. Success rank, 12th. Says here from the Ringer, Hurts was up and down against the blitz for most of the season. Given how good the Eagles' offensive line has been, getting to Hurts with 4 or fewer pass rushers proved difficult. Defenses, for the most part, realized that and blitzed Hurts 34% of the time, which was 4th highest among starting quarterbacks. Spagnuolo's ability to get Hurts with his blitz schemes in a high-leverage situation could go a long way into determining this game. Spags has not blitzed as much this year. Chiefs have done a pretty good job. Top 10 when they rush 4. Jalen Hurts doesn't do well against the blitz. What do you do? Do you blitz Jalen Hurts? I think you pick your spots, but I think the most important thing about the blitz is going to be where the blitz comes from. A lot of people point out you blitz him right up the gut. You blitz him right up the A gap. So there's no deviating. There's none of that. You just run right next to Jason Kelce on one side or the other. Go right up the gut. And that will force Jalen Hurts one way or the other. To me, that's great in theory. Okay, just blitz him right up the middle. You don't have to worry about, is he going to go backwards? Is he going to go forwards? How are you going to, how's he going to evade the blitz, right? Just blitz him right up the gut.
Yeah.
That worries me because if you blitz him right up the gut, he can go left or right. And now he is what you don't want, which is outside the pocket and willing to run. I do think blitzing Jalen Hurts is a good idea. The numbers say it. If you can find a way to blitz Jalen Hurts and somehow play zone, because you cannot blitz Jalen Hurts and play man. You cannot. Because if you do that and he gets outside the pocket, it is going to be a huge run. A huge one. Yeah. Now, he's not Justin Fields where he's going to run 80 yards for a touchdown because he's not as fast as Justin Fields. But he will chew up yardage in this game if you blitz him and you play man. So you have to blitz and play zone. Can the Chiefs do that and get it done? I have always been the mindset of go down swinging. I think this Eagle team can move the football down the field methodically. How many times have my key to the game has been, can they march it down the field? I think this Eagles team can. You want to know why? Because they can run it. And they got a quarterback who can run it. And they got two good pass catchers. I think to stop the Eagles, you have to get them in 3rd and long, which is a very difficult thing to do. But the best way to get them in 3rd and long is to create holding penalties and to create sacks. And the best way to create sacks against this Eagle team is very, very simple. You're not going to get there with 4. Their O-line is too good. So you're going to have to blitz. But I would be very specific in how I would blitz Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Does Spags has really kind of changed his stripes, right? He's changed his spots. He's got stripes right now. He was a cheetah. He was a leopard. This year it's different. He's a tiger. He's different. I mean, the numbers say it. The lowest rate under Spagnuolo ever in blitzing. The lowest rate in man defense. Like they play zone now.
Yeah, they have been playing a lot differently this year, which is important. It's interesting. Trying to figure out what this Chiefs defense is going to do, I think, is one of the greater mysteries of this game. But I have convinced myself more and more, I've moved more and more into the camp. You send the house that hurts from every different angle early on. I don't know if that should be your game plan the entire game, depending on how it goes. But you give him the young quarterback treatment if you are Spags. You find some of your exotic stuff. Spags loves to walk like 7 guys up to the line. And that there could be a lot of them coming. But you truly do not know which of those 7 is coming. I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think we're going to see a lot, also particularly because of the run threat. We're going to see a lot of stacked boxes pre-snap. I think Spagnuolo should and will send the house a lot and just test Jalen Hurts to make the right move. It's what he's always done to young quarterbacks. Think about every young quarterback he's played.
Is he a young quarterback? This is his 3rd year in the league.
He's a young quarterback.
Okay.
Because think about how much starting time he's had. This is only his 2nd year as a full-time starter. Like, his first year, he only became the starter like halfway through the year. This is only his second year being a full-time NFL starter.
Yeah.
He's still a young guy. He's still kind of raw in the way he's trying to do things, Even more so, Young can also just apply to the maturation process. And this has been Hurts' growing year. I think Spagnuolo is going to give him that treatment of just like, you haven't seen everything yet, so let me see if I can confuse you, which has worked against some quarterbacks. Now, Hurts is also intelligent. He can make some right moves. His athleticism allows him to extend plays. But I think Spagnuolo will try and see if he can speed up the process. Can he force Hurts to make mistakes? I mean, we're talking about it right here. Against the blitz, he's not a great quarterback. When his process gets sped up, when he isn't comfortable, I think that's actually the real key word to key in on here is Spagnuolo's going to look to make him uncomfortable. Whether that's actually getting home with the pressure, whether that's actually hitting him, I think that's where the idea of disguising things and messing with his pre and post snap reads is going to be the bigger key than whatever pressure. Like, I think we're going to see a lot of simulated pressure in this game. A lot of, he's only rushing 4, but it's not a traditional 4-man rush, which can still throw off some plans because you're both trying to confuse Hurts and make him either have to hold the ball longer than he wants, which therefore he can get home, or you make him make bad throws because the window he's throwing to is not what he thought it was going to be. At the same time, you need to confuse his offensive line too. A way to beat a good offensive line is make them have to constantly communicate. Because at some point that could break down, they pass things off wrong, and something happens. But I think truly looking at both Hurts' numbers against the blitz, looking what type of team they're playing, and even Spagnuolo's tendencies, being creative and being confusing is the right avenue this defense should take. And there's an inherent risk to that. You got a lot of rookies in the secondary against 2 very good wide receivers and a really good tight end. I think until it becomes untenable, the Chiefs are going to be aggressive and see what they can do.
I think he is going to be a lot more aggressive than what he's done. Can you be aggressive against a team that I think is really going to try to run the football? I think they look at the Chiefs defense and say, we can run this football. We think our offensive line can get to the linebackers. We think that we can out scheme and we can just outman our O-line versus Chiefs D-line plus Willie Gay and Nick Bolton. And then Darius Harris, Leo Chanel in that situation. That we are going to be able to run the football on them. Blitzing against the run sometimes can really backfire.
It can. Because if they get past that initial wall, ain't nobody back there. And that is the danger. And that's where gap integrity and sound tackling comes in. That if they're going to load that box, if they're going to run blitz a little bit, which the Chiefs have shown a propensity to do against running teams, guys have to make tackles, guys have to make plays, and you can't miss your gap because Sanders or Hurts is going to see it. They're going to go through it. And then you better hope the 1 or 2 guys you have on the back end can get them down. Because if not, you're about to give up a really big play.
Yeah.
But I think that aggressive mindset is what the Chiefs need to do. I think, if anything, that will get them to where they need to be.
That's why I say Spags is the most important guy on the Chiefs defense. It's not players. It's what does he decide to do as the coach. That's so important. If they have a bad game plan, and then can you adjust to that game plan? If it's not working, what do you do? Yeah, Spags is, I think, even more important than Andy Reid because I think the Chiefs offense will score. I do. I think the Chiefs offense is going to score. And everybody going, oh, well, the MVP going up against the top-rated pass defense. Look how it's worked out. It hasn't. Peyton Manning against the Broncos and Rich Gannon against the Buccaneers and who else was it? There were 3 instances. And I'm just thinking, that is not even remotely the same. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, this offense, and the teams that they went up against. This Eagles secondary ain't the Legion of Boom. This Eagles secondary, Patrick Mahomes ain't Rich Gannon. All right?
Yeah. That is fair.
Patrick Mahomes is not Rich Gannon.
He is not.
What was the other? There were 3 quarterbacks. Oh, Cam Newton versus the Broncos. Patrick Mahomes ain't Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes ain't going to make a business decision.
No, he will actually very much not do those things and has tried not to do those things, and it's made him more hurt.
Yeah. The 3 previous MVPs went 0-3 and had 8 interceptions against the number 1 pass defense. I'm sorry. Throw out Rich Gannon and the Bucks because that was a different game. Peyton Manning versus the Seahawks. That Seahawks defense, legendary. And I'm sorry, but Slay and Bradbury, and
you ain't the Legion of Boom.
You ain't that guy.
You
right?
good. You ain't that good.
You ain't that guy.
No.
And Cam Newton or Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, I know who I'm taking. Coming up next, everyone loves the list. Individual Super Bowl performances. We'll get to that next. Everyone loves a list. Our topic today, Super Bowl individual performances. All right, Fulton, what do you got?
Leading up for me at number 4, the stat line wasn't going to blow you away, but the individual plays were very good. Eli Manning, Super Bowl 42.
Okay.
Not a blowing stat line, but the plays he made in the fourth quarter to knock off an undefeated Patriots team, impressive.
Number 4 for me, Brady versus the Eagles in the losing effort. He threw for 505 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions.
Damn right he did. That's honorable mention for me. That was a very good performance.
That's the greatest performance in a losing effort.
Honestly, yeah, I'd agree with that, and I don't think it's particularly close. Number 3 for me, Von Miller in Super Bowl 50. 2.5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles alone was just, he was a wrecking ball to that team.
Number 3, Nick Foles against the Patriots. Nick Foles. 373 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a receiving touchdown. Philly special. Nick Foles. I think that's the most
I don't think we noticed how good a performance that was.
After Tom Brady's very first performance in the Super Bowl, because he was a second-year guy.
Yeah.
That's the most like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened, is Nick Foles.
Yeah. I think I'd agree with that. I truly would. Number 2 for me, my guy Santonio Holmes in the Super Bowl 43. 9 catches, 131 yards, and his 1 touchdown was the most important play of the game.
And for those of you wondering, we base our stuff on what we've seen. Okay?
Yes, that is my rule for most of these. I have to have seen the game.
We have to see. I'm sorry. I don't remember the great Kansan John Riggins rumbling for Washington. Yes, that was one of the most amazing games of all time. I did not see that, so that does not count for us, okay?
Yeah.
Number 2 for me, it's Von Miller. I've never seen a defensive player dominate an NFL game like that. 6 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. Von Miller was incredible.
He was so good in that game. Number 1 for me, it's not his greatest Super Bowl stat line, but when you consider the context of the situation, his greatest Super Bowl performance, it's Tom Brady in Super Bowl 51. Threw 466 yards, 2 touchdowns, and came back from down 28-3.
My number 1, it's one of the very first Super Bowl memories that I have, and it's why he's the GOAT. What's funny is this is my number 1, but it's not even his best Super Bowl performance. Jerry Rice against the Chargers. That was when Steve Young was the quarterback. 10 receptions, 149 yards, 3 touchdowns. And that's not even his best Super Bowl performance, because I don't remember the 89 performance. Coming up next, we're going to hear from Ken Swanson.
The John Deere 6M started with the livestock.
Coming up, we will get to our official prediction scores, MVPs, and such coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. But right now, we're going to talk all things Chiefs and Eagles with Kent Swanson of the KC Sports Network. Follow Kent on Twitter at Kent_Swanson. Kent, it is finally here. It seems like this week has taken longer than any week ever, even going back to the other two Super Bowls, which is kind of fun to say that this is the third Super Bowl now. But it feels like this week's taken forever to get here come Sunday.
Yeah, it kind of has. But it's also weird because, like, I don't think there's as much anxiety as I've seen out of Chiefs fans as there has been in past Super Bowls. It's kind of a weird vibe. Like, I think there's just a quiet, calm confidence to the fan base, even though, yes, this week has just taken so long. Like, it's just looking forward to getting there, but not as much anxiety as I've seen in the past. It's crazy.
And you kind of hit the nail on the head. We talked about this, I want to say on Wednesday on the show, is that, you know, the expectation of this year for the fan base was probably not win the Super Bowl. Does it feel different this time around because maybe we all didn't think they'd get here with how many rookies they got, trading Tyreek Hill and everything like that? It almost feels like if they lose this game, I'm not going to be as devastated if it were Super Bowl 54 or even Super Bowl 55 because the back-to-back situation, or am I, you know, maybe just not as, you know, if they lose. I think it's a bigger deal if the Eagles win or not, kind of like it was when the Chiefs got there first, because you never know when you're going to get back, but it feels like this isn't as, you know, desperate of to win this Super Bowl. And as I say this now on Friday, but I'll probably be crushed if they do lose, but it just gets that vibe, I feel.
You know, I think leading up to the game, I think if you ask fans that, they'd probably agree. But I think, you know, just being 1 year out, like just having 1 year where the Chiefs didn't make the Super Bowl started to breed a little bit of stress and panic. Like everybody's catching up to them. And, you know, you wondered when you were ever going to get there because you had these bigger obstacles with the Bills and the Bengals coming out. So, you know, we say that now, but I think, you know, if the Chiefs are to lose this game, I think you'll feel some things a lot differently when it actually comes, because whether or not you expected this version of the Kansas City Chiefs to make the Super Bowl, they did. They had a chance to help Patrick Mahomes' legacy. They had a chance to help Andy Reid's legacy, and they all had a chance to win and to add a ring to their you know, respective resumes as well. So, you know, I think it'll be I think it'll be a crushing loss if they lose. But maybe the realities of that haven't kicked in for some of the reasons that you just kind of laid out.
All righty. I've asked this question to every one that we've had on the show, every single guest. There are four aspects. You got the Chiefs offense, Chiefs defense. You got the Eagles offense, Eagles defense. What side of the football do you think will have the biggest impact in the game or most important for their team to win? Which side of the football, one of those four?
All right, so I know a lot of people are going to say Chiefs defense, and I'm not going to disagree with you, but I do think it's the Chiefs offense.
Chiefs offense?
I think I do. And because this team's always been built for this. This is how this team was built. It's always going to be built to put a ton of points on the board. I think this is the group that's going to make the biggest impact and needs to make the biggest impact. They need to be the team, whether or not this defense plays well or not, which they're playing great football for the Chiefs. They're doing a lot of really good stuff. They're playing complementary football. They're helping this team, get to this point. This thing still needs to run through the offense. It still needs to run through an elite offense. This is the way. This is the trump card. This is the way that this game can potentially not be close. This is the way that this team can keep things close if the offense or if the defense isn't able to put, to keep the Eagles off the board. I still think this whole thing still has to run through the offense, through the best player in the world. I think it's the most important side of the football for this game.
The ankle hasn't gotten a lot talked about. Is that surprising to you, or it got talked about so much during the title game that people saw he played so well and threw for 300 and some yards, 2 touchdowns? Like, okay, that ankle's not going to be a big deal. That to me, that ankle makes him even more of Superman. How come we haven't talked about that as much?
Well, it's that long, we talk about the 2-week ways, like there's that piece of it. You're not going to get great views of him for a whole week, like the week of the Super Bowl practices aren't visible. And I think part of even last week, the practices aren't visible. I think they kind of shut things down Wednesday or Thursday. So, there's not a lot of clips coming up about whether or not the ankle looks good or not. And I think the Chiefs probably prefer to keep it a mystery too. So they're probably not emphasizing Andy. Andy's not giving a ton of sound bites on it. Mahomes isn't trying to give a ton of sound bites on it either. There's probably a little bit of gamesmanship about it. I think it's still definitely a storyline. But if we come to find out that Patrick Mahomes' ankle is made of an element that is yet to exist on the periodic table and he just heals twice as fast as normal humans, I'm not going to be surprised.
It's an adamantium, right? I mean, he's got the Wolverine stuff inside. That wouldn't shock me at all. I mean, that's just the way it is. We're talking to Ken Swanson of the KC Sports Network, and let's go to the defense. I think it's the Chiefs defense because, like you mentioned, and I'm taking the Chiefs offense for granted with Patrick Mahomes, but they do so well against good defenses. I remember week 4, they're taking on Tampa Bay, and we're like, oh my gosh, this Tampa Bay defense is so amazing. And they absolutely destroy them. Same thing against the 49ers. Oh, what are they going to do against this 49er defense? I know that 49er defense was a little beat up. I understand that. But they absolutely shredded the 49ers. I think the offense is going to roll. I don't know about the defense because I think they're going to run Jalen Hurts a ton. I think Jalen Hurts' shoulders a little bit more dinged up than what people realize. And I think they're going to run him a lot, and I think that's a huge concern. Can they stop the run? What is Spags going to do when it comes to the run? Because you got to make sure you have guys in the box. Then they can go up against man coverage, and that's what Jalen Hurts does so well is against man, not zone. I look at this Eagles offense because that O-line is so good. They can do so many things. Where do you start if you're Spagnuolo in that Chiefs defense?
I think you start with the run, and I think you've got to be really disciplined and gap sound in a defense or in an offense that presents a lot of different challenges with, a lot of pulling guards and sometimes running counters off that. And, you've got a quarterback that can run, that can pull the football, and you've got the run pass option behind it. But if I'm the Chiefs defense, I want to turn this game as much as I possibly can into a Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts drop back game. So how do I do that? I got to be good on first and second down. I kind of got to be good on third down too, because you can't let the Eagles get into fourth and manageable because they'll go for it. They'll be more aggressive on fourth down decisions. So, I think that early down defense is going to be crucial for this team to keep the Eagles out of situations where they can make a decision on whether or not they're going to go for it, and whether or not they can still put the ball on the ground, whether or not they can kind of, get into some of their, some of their fourth and short options, their third and short options. They've got to try to find a way to turn this game as much as they can into a drop back game. Because I'll be honest with you, I know Jalen Hurts' shoulder's getting better, hopefully, for him. He was really bad in the NFC Championship game. People don't want to talk about it, but he was bad, actively bad in that game. He had, I think, 121 yards. 29% of his yards came on one throw to Devontae Smith that was actually a drop. He had, Jalen or AJ Brown had to bail him out on a throw. There's just a lot of inconsistency since he's come back from his injury. And even as a true drop back passer, I don't know if he's not even close to the same caliber as Patrick Mahomes. So take the run away as best he can. Do a lot of things to try to put them in third and drop back situations.
Steve Spagnuolo has the history of blitzing. Well, this year he hasn't done that as much. 28% he blitzes, which you don't think of that from Steve Spagnuolo. So what do you do if you're Spagnuolo? Do you blitz Jalen Hurts? Because the numbers show that if you blitz Jalen Hurts, he does not do as well. I mean, it is clear as day. And if you play zone against Jalen Hurts, it is clear as day he does not do as well. Do you go with those tendencies and say, hey, this is the game where Spags says, Jalen, beat us with quick decisions. That's what you're going to have to do in this situation?
Yes. 28% is the blitz rate for the year. I take the over on that. I think they're going to heat him up. I think they're going to try to heat him up. They've kind of got to earn the right to do that. They've got to get into some situations a lot of time where, the run defense has to be good enough for them to be able to get to those situations. But I do expect, I don't think Steve Spagnuolo is just going to sit on his heels or have his defense sit on his heels. They're not going to be as static with their coverages. I think they'll play a little bit more man. I think they'll press a little bit more. And I think they'll throw some blitzes out there. Now, you're going to have to be disciplined with Jalen Hurts' legs for sure. But I think you can heat him up. And when you do, I think you can turn him over too. I genuinely think, especially, that's kind of why I keep going back to the offense is if the game script's not neutral, I think that favors the Chiefs in such a big way. So if the offense can put pressure on the Eagles offense, now you're looking at a team that has to drop the ball, drop back more. And I think that's when, the floodgates can potentially open with turnovers and just getting that team out of their game. So, I think early down defense allows them to just blitz to blitz Jalen Hurts in a big, big way in crucial downs.
The Chiefs got a pass rush on Joe Burrow, I think mainly because Chris Jones had an over my dead body game, and then they didn't have their starting offensive line. That was very evident without three of their starters. The Eagles have their whole offensive line is playing well. They're one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Can the Chiefs get pressure on Hurts with that good offensive line? The Chiefs have had a hard time against really good O-lines getting pressure. Do you think they can find a way to get there?
Yeah, and honestly, I think some of that will be that blitz, but I think the front can still generate some pressure with four. I do think that they're going to be able to get some pressure with four. The Eagles are an outstanding offensive line. Some will say the best in football. Their bread and butter is still the run game, and their bread and butter is an offense that is predicated on a good run game. And if you are, in a true drop back setting, I think they're a little bit more susceptible to allowing pressure, even against a 4-man rush. The thing that you really like, or that I really like about this team is, yes, Chris Jones is playing out of his mind. He's having an outstanding season. The Eagles are probably not going to let him line up one-on-one with very many reps this week, right? I don't think you're going to get a ton of opportunities and a ton of one-on-ones for Chris Jones. He'll probably win all of them. But if you look at what Joe Cullen has done for the rest of this defensive line, you are seeing so many players having their best season of their careers. Mike Dana, Colin Saunders. I think George Karlaftis has had a great rookie year. Frank Clark has had a great year. There's a lot of quality defensive linemen that are doing enough, I think, in the home stretch that you can find some opportunities and some one-on-ones and win. Even though it's not the most talked about group, I think there's some propensity for these guys to be able to go out and make some plays, even with a 4-man pass rush, just because if they're going to get so much attention on Chris, these other guys have stepped up in a big way this season.
We're talking with Ken Swanson of the KC Sports Network. All right, is there a situation in the game, whether that be red zone or third down or fourth down or maybe even first down, as you mentioned, to put them into passing situations? Is it end of the half? What situation do you think will have a really big impact on this game?
Yes, second down and long to medium. And that sounds weird, but let's say the Chiefs do take care of business on first down. Let's say the Chiefs take care of business. Let's say they're getting into a second down situation where they're going to get him on second and long. The Chiefs can't get into they can't. And this is why I don't think the Chiefs can sit on their heels too. The Chiefs don't want to get they don't want the Eagles to get into these third and shorts. They don't want to give them decisions on fourth down. And the best way to do that is to just stop it as early as you possibly can. And so first down, you can gain a 3. They can't get anything else on second down, because now you're going to have to start thinking about how this team can manage 2 more downs potentially. I mean, if it's 4th and a yard, they're probably going to go for it because they're elite at the quarterback sneak. And it doesn't matter. There's not a ton of places on the field where I don't think they'll go for it, especially in a game like this. So doing what you can on early down to stop that situation from happening is probably the best bet for the Chiefs. So second and, keeping, a 2nd and 10 has to stay 2nd and 10. A 2nd and 7 needs to stay 2nd and 7, or, it's third, to a 35, because you can't get things too close to a decision-making time to help the team get off the field. So it's that early down defense, but I think even second down, I think, is kind of the pivotal point in how that possession gets managed, because if they get half on second down and it's 3rd and 3, you might see this offense and Nick Sirianni say, all right, let's run the ball here. And you don't want the situation to present itself. You've got to try to stay ahead of that for them.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Nick Sirianni, the one thing that he does so well is I think he's a good game manager, because if it's 3rd down and 3, he knows he's going to go for it on 4th down as long as they gain a single yard. He'll go for it on 4th and 2. So I think they can keep the football a long time. I mean, it will be they are not afraid to just run it. To me. The Eagles have not played someone of this caliber in quite some time, or the entire year, if you want to judge it by that. I would feel a lot more about this Eagle team if I could see them play against that 49ers with Purdy at quarterback. But you can't even judge that game to me, because after the 6th play of the game was over because they weren't going to win the football game. So I have a hard time. I know what the Chiefs can do. I know exactly what they can do. I don't know about the Eagles. I look at this as the Eagles have played a schedule where, they're not that. I don't know if they're that great. Their numbers say that they're that great, but they haven't played a very good schedule. They haven't played an elite quarterback and an elite offense. I don't even know if they've done it all year.
I'm trying to think of the best, and this isn't the best way to compare things. I think the best AFC team that they've played is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes, in a monsoon, in that monsoon in Philly, like week 5. Yeah,
it's and look, the Tennessee Titans. I mean, they beat the brakes off the Titans, but I look at this this team and this schedule, and I'm not trying to diminish this football team. I think it's a very good football team. I think it's the best team in the NFC. I don't think the NFC is very good. And, there's all these, people look at this team people look at the Eagles and they say, well, they haven't played anybody. And they're technically 7-1 against teams above 500, but 3 of those wins are the New York Giants and a lot of iffy football with the Detroit Lions. And it's just, when you look at these games, you look at the teams that they've actually played, it's not that impressive. 1 win against Cooper Rush. I'm not saying this is a bad football team in any stretch of the word. This is a very good football team with a terrifying front, a deep front that can wreck a game. But at the same time, they haven't seen a quarterback to the caliber of Patrick Mahomes or an offense to the caliber of Patrick Mahomes. And they haven't been tested in a playoff environment the way the Chiefs have. They've played 2 teams One was the Giants for the third time. That's not, that's played above their heads and did great things as Brian Daboll built the program. Got Coach of the Year for a reason because no one expected them to make the playoffs. And then they played a team without a quarterback in the NFC Championship game. So they haven't really played a game of the intensity that they're about to see. They haven't played a great team, and they haven't played a great quarterback in a long time. And arguably haven't played a great quarterback all season. So I am dubious a little bit about the Eagles, but at the same time, they've won a lot of football games despite not playing anybody. So that's where I think you got to give them a little bit of respect.
All righty, last two for the road. You can just give me a quick, short answers. Who's the X factor in this game?
Patrick Mahomes. Sorry, easy.
And your prediction, what do you got?
31-20. Real ones know.
You're going with a repeat, huh?
Uh-huh. You heard it here.
You're going with a repeat. All righty. Kent, thank you so much, my friend. We appreciate it. Enjoy the game coming up on Sunday.
Absolutely. You too.
Going with a repeat. That would be Super Bowl 54. Chiefs win 31-20.
Real ones know.
Chiefs win. So you've got Jeff Kerr, who covers the Eagles. He's going with the Eagles because he thinks that they are the better team. Ken Swanson covers the Chiefs. He's going with the Chiefs because of Patrick Mahomes. I would feel way more confident if I knew what the Eagles would do against a good team and a good offense with a good quarterback.
No.
And if Super Bowl 55 didn't exist.
So, yes, I understand that there's been a lot of that this week. There are just not enough things you can pull similar to that game.
I know, but
it's just so different.
Yeah. Coming up next, some theories about the game, plus our fun and exciting Super Bowl prop bets. final hour of the Super Bowl week. It is a Red Friday edition of Mic'd Up. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake and Fulton along with Fulton Caster. Let us know. It's your final chance to give us your prediction for the game coming up on Sunday, which we will have right here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. We'll have the Westwood One coverage starting around 3:30, going all the way till the end of the game. And then after the game, we'll have the Chiefs Radio Network post-game show coming up here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. We'll get to our fun kind of a pregame, halftime fun Super Bowl prop bets coming up here in just a little bit. We'll give our final predictions for the game before we hand things off to the guys on 580 Sports Talk. But right now, let's talk about the red zone.
It's time to get in the zone.
The Chiefs are number 2 in the red zone this year on offense. I'm surprised at that.
Really?
Because it seems like they can't score it on when they get, 3rd and goal at the 1. They've scored sometimes on 4th down, but it just doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, that's why you just score from 15 yards out.
They score it at a 70% clip in the red zone. That's number 2. The Eagles are number 3 in the red zone this year. That stands to reason because they have a terrific running game. And they've got a mobile quarterback who runs it. Quarterback sneaks it. The Eagles are 3rd in the red zone this year, 68%. 2 very different offenses, very different schemes, personnel. Chiefs a smidge better. What about red zone defense? The Eagles are 11th in red zone defense. That's 53% they allow touchdowns in the red zone. So basically every other time they get a stop. They force a field goal or they don't allow any points. The Kansas City Chiefs are 30th in red zone defense. They give up touchdowns 65% of the time. Do you get 7? Do you get 3? Do you get 0? This favors the Eagles. If the Chiefs get a stop in the red zone and they force the Eagles to kick a field goal, that is a huge win, giving up just 3 points. But I think, depending upon the distance, it's not going to be 3 points that you're going to save. It's going to be 7. Because I think they'll go for it on 4th down, which makes it scary because if it is 4th and goal at the half-yard line or 4th and goal at the 1, they're going to go for it. And it's not even a bat and eye question. And if you get the stop, kind of like it was against Cincinnati, Carlos Dunlap got the big stop. You save 7 points there. But I think it's more so for the Chiefs offense. Because judging by these numbers, the Chiefs defense are probably, not going to get the stop in the red zone. One, because of the running attack by the Eagles. And number 2, they're not very good inside the red zone on defense, according to the rest of the NFL. This is more so on the Chiefs offense. When the Chiefs offense gets in the red zone, they need 7. You can't settle for 3. And I think and this isn't where, it's going to be a low scoring game, so points are at a premium, kick the field goal. No, you're going to need 7. And that's why I think the Chiefs offense has more pressure on them in the red zone than the Eagles. If you get in there and it's 1st and goal at the 10, 2nd and goal at the 8, you got to get to the end zone. You need to get 7. If it's 4th and goal at the 6, you got to kick the field goal, in my opinion, depending upon the situation. But if the Chiefs get the opening drive and they drive it down and they have 4th and goal at the 6, I'm going to kick the field goal because I think you need to walk away with points to start the game. If it's 4th and goal at the 2, I go for it. Now, some people are saying, Jake, that's kind of dumb. What's the difference between 4 yards?
Mm-hmm.
I think the dump offs and the quick passes and such like that are a big deal. I think the Eagles are going to be the same way. I think if it's 4th and goal at the 2, I think they're going to go for it. If I think it's 4th and goal at the 6, I think they'll kick the field goal. So and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Eagles are going to go for it no matter what on 4th down, as long as if it's 4th and less than 8 in the goal to go situations. They might go for it.
See, here's what I'll say on the specific subject of inside the 10. Let's break these down by their areas here. We all know my rule by now. My rule is very clear. It is very well stated. It has never changed. Don't kick inside the 10 unless for very specific circumstances.
So, opening drive of the game, it is 4th and goal from the 9. You're going for it.
Yes.
Really?
Because, and I will
I
give you all my usual rationales. It always is. Because I get your point and I get your logic, and I will not blame those with the logic that you use of opening drive. You can't let that go that deep and not get some sort of points. I understand that. I truly do. I will go with my same logic I've always used, though, and is my driving force why I believe no team should ever kick inside the 10, except for a few very extenuating circumstances.
Understandable.
You're either A, going to get it, and therefore now you have 7 points. Well, 6 points, extra points aren't as guaranteed anymore. But basically, you have a touchdown.
Correct.
You have a lot of points there. Part B can now happen. You turn it over. That team that you've now turned the ball over to, that stinks. You didn't get any points. I get that. If that team wants a touchdown, they now have to go 90-plus yards to go get it. If that team wants a field goal, they still roughly have to go usually like 60-some yards to get it. So I personally, in my belief system, am willing to take the risk to get the maximum amount of points, especially in a game, and I even want to play this more to a game like Super Bowl 57 in this game. There's 2 really good offenses. Field goals ain't going to win you this game probably on Sunday. They just aren't. So I would rather take the chance and then believe that my defense can at least only give you 60 yards. Because they're either going to get 60 yards and maybe get a field goal, smaller chance that team's going to go 90-plus yards and get a touchdown, or, and this is the part that I don't think is valued enough, unless that team gets a first down or 2, they're punting deep, which means they're getting to burn some clock on you, which is its own thing. You're probably starting another possession near midfield, which means a shorter field for you to try again. I'm not going to blame anyone if on the opening drive for the Chiefs, they get to 4th and goal at the 7 and they kick. I'm not going to agree with it. You're going to hear me screaming about it on Twitter that I want Andy Reid to go for it. It's not what I would do. I get the logic. I think the Eagles, though, moreover, if the Eagles get inside the 10, I think they might abide by my philosophy. Well, because I think Nick Sirianni understands, even as good as his defense is.
I don't think the Eagles will have many, unless there's a hold or something that normally doesn't. I don't think the Eagles will ever have 4th and goal at the 9. And the reason why is because 1st and goal at the 10, 1st and goal at the 7, they're going to run it 3 straight times. And they're going to end up with 4th and goal at the 3, the 2, or the 1, and then they will go for it. Because they are very predictable. They're going to run it inside the 10. That's what they do. They will run it. I wish I could find the number of times that they've had the football in goal-to-go situations and the number of runs versus number of passes.
Yeah.
And now there are specific situations. You get a tackle for a loss, and then they might have to throw it. Now they're at 3rd and goal. Whereas the Chiefs, we know they're going to throw the football the majority of the time. I think if it's 4th and goal inside the 5, I have no problem going for it. To me, the number of the percentage that you get it on 4th and longer than 5 is not ideal. I think it also, the very first possession of the game, and I hope the Chiefs don't have the football. I would want the football at halftime.
Huh?
Please let the Chiefs win the coin toss and defer. I want that to happen. Or I want the Eagles to win the toss and take the football, which honestly wouldn't be a bad idea if you are the Eagles.
No.
You take the football, you get up. because that's what they want.
Yeah, they want to play from ahead.
I would want to make sure I get points on the board to start things off if they do face 4th and goal. Now, if it's 4th and 1 at the 11, yes, I'm going for it, obviously. The longer the distance just makes me a little bit more apprehensive early on. Of course, throughout the game, it depends on situation and everything like that. It's not just specifically concrete. But the red zone is a huge deal. If you hold the Eagles, and I think the Eagles will go for it a lot inside the red zone. That's what makes it even more big. It's pretty much 7 or 0 for the Eagles, and that's huge if you can get one stop for the Kansas City Chiefs. Getting a stop in the red zone and getting 0, to me, is just as valuable as a turnover.
It is. No, I'm 100% with you there.
And I know, well, Jake, yeah, obviously it's a turnover on downs. But no, it is a point-saving play. Whereas if you get a turnover, they can't score anymore. That is a stop. The Chiefs are going to force the Eagles to punt it a couple of times.
Yeah.
But do you get the other stops? If you get the football 10 times in this game, which there might be very limited possession.
Could be. With the way the Eagles play football,
the
could
way
be.
The Eagles, yes. If you have the football 10 times and the Eagles score on 5 of them, they get 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals, right? But instead of one of those touchdowns, it's an interception. They're not going to score on 50% of their series. I don't think they are. Same thing for that. That's why the points are such a big deal for the Chiefs turnovers, because the Chiefs are going to score. We know they are. They score on roughly 50% of their possessions. Well, we know they're not going to score every time, and we know they're going to turn it over every time. So they're going to punt the football 3 or 4 times in this game because the Eagles defense is so good. What do you do with those other 5 possessions? Do you get touchdowns? Do you turn it over? And that's why in the red zone, it favors the Eagles big time, and it's more important to me for the Chiefs in the red zone than it is the Eagles because of what they've done this year. And I thought this was an interesting thread when it comes to the NFL. This is from Sharp Clark. He is a data analyst, if you will. And I thought this was a very fun thread to follow. And he says this: my thoughts on the Super Bowl include 3 angles that favor Kansas City and 1 angle that favors Philadelphia. He goes, ultimately, I don't think the market is correctly pricing this game, and I think the Chiefs should be favored. And first thought, I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I can see that. Reason being, Patrick Mahomes. But I wonder how much the ankle. If Patrick Mahomes was no question 100% healthy, no issues, he is the quarterback against the Broncos who's doing the whoop, and he's throwing, passes to Jerick McKinnon. He's doing all that. Would the Chiefs be favored? I don't know. We'll never know that situation probably. But this is what he says. 3 angles to this game. Or 4 angles to this game. 3 of them face and favor the Chiefs. 1 of them favors the Eagles. Out of 4 angles. And he says this. Angle point 1. Philadelphia's excellent defensive metrics likely mean very little in this matchup. 2 things go into this. First, the Eagles splits show how performance gaps between teams with bad O-lines, bad schemes, and or bad quarterbacks and good offense. KC excels at all 3. The Chiefs have a good O-line. Chiefs have a great scheme, and they've got a great quarterback. He is putting this as the Eagles have feasted on bad O-lines, bad schemes, and bad quarterback play. That's angle number 1 for the Kansas City Chiefs. And he says here, in particular, they have thrived on high pressure to sack ratio, and Mahomes is the best in the league at avoiding sacks under pressure. QBs dictate sacks more strongly than defenses do. Philly faced 3 full-time QBs with less than 15 sacks per possession this season. Goff, Prescott, and Davis Mills. I don't know if you know this, but Goff and the Eagles put up a lot of points.
They did.
Dak Prescott and the Cowboys hung 40 and beat him. Davis Mills and Houston played better than average. Patrick Mahomes is the best in the NFL at that. And with a bum ankle, he'll be getting the football away quicker. It says sack and pressure dependent defenses tend to have wider splits based on the quality of opponent. Not a surprise. Better the team, the better the quarterback, less sacks you're going to get.
Mhm.
Second, the second angle. Mahomes has always performed at high level regardless of defensive quality. His drop-off in production based on quality of defense is minimal. These two elements combined make it unlikely Philly's defense wins this game. Says he, the Eagles' pricing stems from season-long production in which they played disproportionately favorable situations against inferior teams. Unlike Casey's offense, Philly's offense with Hurts has performed at a significantly worse level in tough spots. This season, they were so good against a bad schedule that rarely faced negative situations. This is incredible right here. This is truly incredible. In 2021, 2021, 46% of Hurts's dropbacks came when Philly was, according to the Vegas adjusted win probability, was less than 40%. In 2022, this year, 95% of his dropbacks came with Philly with a big percentage to win. Think about that. 95% of his dropbacks, Philly's has the win probability of winning. That's incredible. They get out early and they just roll with the running game. It says here from Sharp Clark, QBs generally perform at a higher level in favorable situations, and Hurts splits have been even more pronounced than average. KC is significantly better than any team Philly has faced this year, so the odds of a tougher game script are high. In addition, the Chiefs' defense has improved over the course of the season, particularly with the return of Trent McDuffie and other rookies. This defense is playing better than any Mahomes has played with. How about that? Is this the best defense that Mahomes has played with, even back in 2019?
Yes. 100%. This, to me, I easily would agree with that. This is probably the best defense he's ever had.
Angle number 3. So those are the two angles there. Angle number 3, Patrick Mahomes. Typically, you have to pay a big premium to bet on the superior quarterback in a big game. Here, you can bet him as an underdog. In tight games, the influence of the QB on the outcome of the game increases. Mahomes is the best quarterback to ever play the game by a comfortable margin. His ankle problems have hidden how well he played against Jacksonville and Cincy. He has MJ-level intangibles. These things kick in most when the game is on the line, so don't apply it when the spread is north of 3. And then lastly, here is the Philly angle. You ready for this? This is where he looks at this game and says, I give the angle to Philly. None of this matters if Patrick Mahomes can't move. Mahomes is still only 3 weeks removed from a high ankle sprain. His attitude and toughness has led him to basically ignore it. But without true mobility, Mahomes is not the same quarterback. If he re-injures the ankle or cannot make plays outside the pocket, he may not be the best quarterback in this league. It's a real possibility it must be accounted for this game. And this is what he says. Conclusion, I'm hoping number 4 is not an issue. I would make this Kansas City favored by 3. Factoring those meaningful injury question marks, I think Kansas City should be favored by 1.5. If KC takes an early lead, I think they hold it and win comfortably. If Philly takes an early lead, Mahomes and this offense should be able to mount a comeback effort. I'd lean Philly, but KC would be very live. If it's a tight game throughout, KC has the advantage. Says, my prediction, KC takes the early lead as Mahomes comes out blazing once again. Philly has more trouble running the ball than people expect. Hurts is inconsistent in comeback mode. Final score, 34-21. Chiefs win by 13.
Very big number.
What do you think about all of that?
I agree with most of it.
That's a lot of info and a lot of backed up understanding and reason.
And that's been my thing. Like, it's a data way to describe the way I personally am feeling with this matchup all these last 2 weeks. We talk about how good Philly's offense is, but my big talking point this week, it has been others as well, so I don't want to act like this is like some groundbreaking opinion I've had all week. It's been a common one. Philly's offense is very good, but it is positive game dependent. Like, they have been a great offense this year. They also have not been tested in the slightest. And we talked about that. They haven't faced really good quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. You know, we talk about, man, Jalen Hurts has really performed well. There's all that talk when it was, should Jalen Hurts win MVP or Patrick Mahomes early on this year? It was like, he's had such a good improvement and all this and all that. And I'm like, yeah, he also hasn't been asked to do a lot. like, it's very telling, and there's more data to back it up. Hurts has never been asked this year to go win a game. Philly has never won a game this year because Jalen Hurts went and won them a game. They've won games because they get up to early leads and they sit on them. And Jalen Hurts is a part of that. He is a member of the way that they've been doing that. But Philly ain't won a single game this year because of Jalen Hurts. They've won because of their scheme and their defense and other things all coming together because of the game script. And that's why I agree with that point and with the Phillies offense being like, it's important to know Hurts ain't been tested. I think it's great to point on their defense. It's been very sack to pressure dependent, which that is exacerbated when you play a lot of bad teams.
I look at this. When I finished reading that, the first thing that jumped out to me was it's Mahomes' ankle. I mean, his only angle and the way he breaks it all down is by the ankle. If he cannot do it, then he does. He's a 10, but if he can get outside the pocket and make those special plays, he goes to 11. That's why he is different. Not many guys can go outside the pocket and make those special plays. That's what made Rodgers a freak show back when he was cooking, is because he could flick it 60 yards outside the pocket. He can't do that now.
Yeah.
That is the big one there. But the other thing, and this is where I go back to, I'm the lone wolf in this. I think the Chiefs are going to score.
Yeah.
All of this makes sense. All of this, what he breaks down on the reason why the Eagles have been so successful is they face bad O-lines, bad schemes, and bad quarterbacks. The Chiefs are not good at those. They are great at those. Mahomes doesn't get sacked. Teams that don't get sacked end up moving the football. The Chiefs are I think, are going to move the football. That's why I'm not worried about the Chiefs offense as long as Mahomes' ankle is healthy. That's why I think it's so much about the Chiefs defense. I think it's all about Chris Jones and getting a pass rush and stopping the run and not allowing Jalen Hurts to get outside, the zone read, deep balls, play action. That's why I think Spags is way more important than Andy Reid in this situation, specifically just the game. Now, game management,
yeah,
that's Andy Reid. That's the reason why, it's Trent McDuffie and it's L'Jarius Sneed. How do they do stopping the run? Because I think the Chiefs offense is going to score. I mean, the numbers are very simple. The teams that have faced, the guys that they have faced who do well with a good offensive line and an above average quarterback don't get sacked. They performed above expectation. Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, they performed above expectation. Above expectation for the Chiefs, good Lord. That's 30 points. And I'll say it right here. If the Chiefs offense scores 30, it's on the defense. If the Chiefs offense scores 23, it's on the offense. I expect the Chiefs offense, they are built to score. If the Chiefs defense allows 24 points, the Chiefs should win. That's my kind of, if you want to go. Now, the game obviously changes and evolves. I mean, if the Chiefs are up 21-20, and the defense gets the stop, well, it's because the defense, right? Even though the offense should perform better than 21 points. But let's say the final score is, let's say it's 35-34. Chiefs are trailing. And the Chiefs have the football at midfield. And it's 3rd and 4. It's on the offense. I expect my offense to get 4 yards and 2 downs and then get my team in field goal area. If I told you at the end of the game, the Chiefs have the football at midfield, it's 3rd and 5, they're down by 1, there's 2 minutes to go, I would take that. I would take that because I think my team is going to. I trust Patrick Mahomes to move me down the field. Like, that's why I think this game is on the offense. When it comes to the offense is going to score points, how does the defense do? If it's a shootout, it's on the offense. You got to go blow for blow if it's a shootout. I don't think it might be a shootout because if the defense steps up and plays, I mean, they've held the Jaguars to 20 points, and they were awesome in that game. They held the Bengals to 20 points. They were awesome in that game. I hope the Chiefs defense is awesome again. If the Chiefs defense is good, I agree with Mr. Sharp Clark that the Chiefs win by double figures. If the Chiefs defense is that good, I think they win by double figures. But I don't know if they are. And we'll get to our predictions here, finishing things off. But that's an interesting thread. It really is. And all of them factor in on the Chiefs because the only angle that favors, at least to the numbers, favors the Eagles is how's Mahomes' ankle? It's interesting. Coming up next, fun prop bets involving Rihanna, Chris Stapleton, and more. Every day this week. Feel good about our Super Bowl prop bets. Think that they're gonna hopefully produce some monetary value for us. Is there one prop bet that you love it, you lock it in, it's gonna happen? Mine's Jalen Hurts touchdown.
Yeah.
Mine is Jalen Hurts touchdown.
Mine's probably Trav over on receiving yards. He's going to have a day.
He's been a monster.
He's going to have a day.
They don't have great linebackers, not great safety play.
Yeah.
All right. Fun prop bets. All righty. What do you got, heads or tails?
Tails never fails, baby. Tails never fails.
Okay. In that situation, I'm going heads.
Okay. You can be wrong. You can be incorrect.
So you're going with tails never fails.
Tails never fails.
Simply because of rhyming.
No, tails never fails.
Okay. Gotcha. Right on. I think people who say tails never fails just likes to rhyme stuff.
I can't lie. The rhyme is a very fun part of it. I can't be a liar here. It's a very fun part of it. No, tails never fails. Always call tails.
Tails never fails. Okay. So in this situation, who wins coin toss? Chiefs or Eagles?
Chiefs are the road team. Therefore, I think they're going to call tails. Therefore, it never fails. So therefore, they win the toss.
I'm going to go Chiefs win the toss as well because I want them to win the toss so they defer and they take the football at the second half.
That's fair.
I think that's big.
That is big.
I think
that is important.
I think that is very, very
I'm
big.
with you.
All right. You cannot bet these type of wagers in the state of
we're
Kansas.
just having fun.
You can't do that unless you decide to use an overseas way of means if you want to do that. So there are ways that you can. You just can't do those legally with any of the apps like the great FanDuel app. The anthem.
The good old anthem.
I normally have I went back and looked. I have hit on the anthem 5 of the last 6 years. Got a good track record on the anthem. I don't this year because Chris Stapleton never does national anthems. No one has any idea. It's 2:06. That's a long anthem. Chris Stapleton is a country guy. Drawn out a little bit. Over under 2 minutes and 6 seconds for the anthem Fulton.
I've gone back and forth on this one. I truly have. Chris Stapleton slow plays everything, man. I think we're going over.
Going over.
He slow plays everything.
Here's what I have done a poor job with this because I've been obviously very busy. I have to consult my wife because Chris Stapleton is a country singer. My wife lived in Nashville for many years. I got to talk to her about this. I have not talked to her yet. I think she would have a good understanding of this. So just for me, I'm going to take the under because I think 2:06 is a long anthem. And I think he might speed through this. Can I change my result after I talk with my wife today?
I'll allow it. Since these are a lot more fun, I'll allow it.
Okay? I mean, we technically can't put any monetary value.
Yeah, we can't. This is more fun.
But I got to talk to her about it. I think she's going to give me better insight. I am. All right. Rihanna. What's her first song going to be? Here are the list of songs that they've got for Rihanna. Diamonds is the favorite at 220. Throwback, Don't Stop the Music at plus 245. We Found Love at plus 350.
There's some sneaky good value right there.
Lift Me Up 430 plus 430. Umbrella at plus 650 or 645. And then Expletive, Better Have My Money at plus 1500.
I just needed it to be part of the set list, man. I need it somewhere.
So
I don't think I'll spoiler alert to answering this little prop part. That ain't gonna bat lead off. Yeah. I need it in the heart of the order though. I need it.
All righty. What are you going? Work is plus 800. What are we feeling here?
So I here's where I've been trying to suss this one out. Because you got to think about what vibes are trying to be set. Mm-hmm. What vibe are we going to open with? What's our feeling on this? I think we're going to get a little bit of some more upbeat vibes to kick us off. I think we're going to try and go for, a little more energy to get people on the feet. Then we might transition to something a bit softer. I don't know. I don't listen to Rihanna, so I don't know what her overall vibe is going to be. I've heard some of these songs. I think, and this is where I think there's going to be some value here. I think Don't Stop the Music at plus 245 is the play.
Okay. All righty.
I considered We Found Love at plus 350. It doesn't feel like a leadoff song to me.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but it doesn't feel like it.
I'm with you on We Fell in Love in a Hopeless Place. We fell in love in a hopeless place.
There's good value there.
There's great value there.
I don't feel good enough that that's my poll, but I can see the value with it.
I'm with you. I want to pick that one, but I can't see her coming out and all of a sudden going, we fell in love with all. You know, I can't get that.
That's why I can't get
get that either.
I could see us maybe getting there, but I don't know.
I'm going to go with Diamonds.
You're going with the favorite.
It's the favorite. It's probably
Fair.
a bad pick. I should probably change it.
Should probably go somewhere else on the board, but you know what? Sometimes the favorites are favorites for a reason.
You know, but they're not going to. I don't think she's going to come out with Umbrella.
No, that's the closer.
I don't think she's going to.
That's the closer. That's where going to the pen.
I don't think she's coming out with work. I don't see that.
That's a late lineup player.
What like honestly, is she going to go back to like her very first song, Replay? Or I don't think SOS is there. That's back when I was a youngster.
Yeah.
And that was a big party pop hit.
Yeah.
You know, playing out at the house parties.
Yeah.
SOS and Replay.
Okay.
I don't think so. I'm gonna go with Diamonds. I don't like it. Don't like it at all.
Yeah, but that's just the play.
I don't have a vibe
That's
with
just
this
the move.
at all.
That's fair.
I really, really don't.
It's fair. That's fair, man.
Alrighty. Who joins her? She ain't gonna do this solo.
No, but I don't think it's gonna be a bunch of people either.
Who joins? Is she gonna rock it by herself?
No, I think so, because I think We Found Love will exist, and I think that's gonna be hit somewhere in the set list. I think we'll get a Calvin Harris appearance. I think because of that connection, I think we'll get a Calvin Harris appearance. At the same level, I think we're gonna get a Jay-Z appearance. He's one of the favorite odds.
Nope, Jay-Z ain't there.
You don't believe it? You don't believe he's gonna be back again?
Jay-Z ain't showing up. Nope.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No. I don't think Kendrick Lamar, Eminem, he did it last year. I don't see zero chance Kanye West. Sorry, Kid Cudi, not gonna be there. It comes down to me, I don't think DJ Khaled's gonna be there.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm gonna go with Drake.
Okay.
I'm going with Drake.
That's a fine pick. Fine pick.
I think Drake's gonna. I'm gonna go with Drake. So who'd you end up taking?
I'll take Calvin Harris. If we're going only one, that's where my money would be. I think that's best.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one too. I don't have a good spot in this. I will ask my wife all of these and see how she does, because she is excited about the halftime show. Yeah, she is.
Fair enough.
She's very pumped about it.
Fair enough. I get it.
And then last one to make it number 5, we are going to go. What would you like to make our last one? We can just make it live here on the air. What do you want to do? Do you want to go with Gatorade color? Do you want to go with who's the first person that that Jason and Travis Kelce hug? Is it each other or is it somebody else? Do you want to go another halftime prop? What do you want to do with here?
I'm thinking let's hit with It's a silly one, but it's close and dear to my heart because it's a silly one that I just love betting on for its randomness. I do have a whole special place for the Gatorade color in my heart. It's very stupid and very silly and has no rhyme or reason to ever pick what it is. I rather enjoy it.
Okay, so what are you going with?
I'm going with orange.
I'm going red.
That's fair.
Actually, no.
Oh?
No.
Oh?
I'm going with clear.
We haven't had that in years.
Clear.
Jake going with the clear, just
clear
/ water.
No, just it'd be like it's still a Gatorade.
No,
but
I know.
Clear Gatorade or
water though technically hits the bet if it's clear. Like if you bet clear, you're also technically betting water because it's hard to tell in the moment.
I just think it's going to be like the Gatorade Frost, that type of thing. It's not going to be like red Gatorade or orange Gatorade or green. It's going to be just a neutral Gatorade.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right.
That's fair.
Coming up next, our final predictions for Super Bowl 57. Red Friday of the year, but also maybe the most nerve-wracking Red Friday of the year.
I agree with that. Very much so.
Yeah.
I've been stressed all day.
From the Big O Tires text line, Jake, you've had 2 weeks to ask your damn wife.
You have. Texter, that is correct as well. He's had time.
Here's the other thing. When I go home, I don't talk to my wife about Chris Stapleton's over-under.
Oh,
I
you
don't.
tell me you don't immediately go home to your wife
No.
and your children and
No.
talk about the day of work that we just had?
No, not at all.
Super surprising.
No. First thing that's going to happen, I'm going to get my kids, pick them up. We're going to go home. And if it's nice outside, my son will want to go outside immediately.
Yep, that tracks.
And so then if we do that, then my daughter is going to follow my son because she is his shadow. And so we're just going to go outside. And we don't talk about, Rihanna stuff like that. Like we don't. We don't. That's something that we don't get into. She'll ask me how my day went, and I'll say, "Oh, it went okay."
Yeah.
And I'll ask hers, and we'll do that type of thing. And then I'll probably end up on the floor working a puzzle with my son. That's what we were doing this morning before I got to work, putting together little 4 or 5 piece puzzles.
Nice.
So yeah, no,
Wait till the upgrades to the 500 piece in like several years.
probably. So no, yeah, we don't talk about that, but I will tonight. I will ask her. I will get that. I will let everybody know.
I will personally
Do you
give
think
you until an hour before kickoff.
Oh, okay.
You have to
Appreciate
4:30 on Sunday to make changes, because then I also get that much time because I have a busy weekend coming up for the Super Bowl, so I will not be like focused on things.
What are you going to do for the game?
So I'm headed down to Wichita after work today. I'm helping my old high school with a speech and debate a speech tournament coming up tomorrow. So that's my entire day tomorrow. And then my best friend and I, we haven't gotten to watch a Super Bowl together since Philadelphia and New England way back when. So we are going to watch the Chiefs and Eagles play each other.
Nice.
He is understanding that I'm probably going to be just this gigantic ball of high blood pressure for the entire time. And
nice.
He has understood that and he understands the assignment.
Nice. I don't know what I'm doing for the game yet.
Have you decided on the Super Bowl party question yet?
I don't know yet. We're still determining that. I don't know yet.
Thank God your wife is so patient.
My wife's amazing. when you've got two kids under 3, you don't really plan a whole lot. You just kind of survive.
That's fair.
No,
that's
so
fair.
Right now, I don't know. I'm bummed because my son will have to go to bed. Like if he stays up past 8:30,
that's a problem.
That's not what you want.
No.
He gets tired. I want him to be awake if the Chiefs win it at the end, but I don't think he will be.
Yeah. Who knows? Hopefully, maybe the Chiefs will have such a big lead. It's a foregone conclusion. He can go to bed confidently knowing his team's going to win.
It'd be fun to celebrate a Chiefs win because he is a Chiefs fan.
Yeah.
Today, on the way to daycare, we listened to Tech Nine's Red Kingdom on repeat the entire way to daycare, which is about 20 minutes. He loves the song. Red Kingdom.
Kid gets it.
I know.
Being raised right.
He's got his shirt, Chiefs shirt on and everything. He's pumped. Go Chiefs.
Kid's being raised right.
All right, what do you got?
This game is going to be... I've seen, we talked about, some of the experts are thinking it's going to be like a 10-point game. Some have had it at 13. Some of, thought the Chiefs will win big. Some are leaning Eagles. I think this game is close for all 4 quarters. I don't know if the Chiefs ever, or even the Eagles that with their mind, take a really big lead. I think it's close for 4. But I think this game truly comes down to which quarterback makes the play and which quarterback leads their team to a win. And the Chiefs got 15 and Philadelphia doesn't. I think it's Chiefs 34, Eagles 31.
34-31.
Yep.
I thought the Chiefs would roll through the Jaguars, and I said that. I didn't factor that Mahomes would be dinged up in that one. I felt good about the Bengals.
Yeah.
I said, I think the Chiefs are going to come away with the win. I do. And I feel good about this one. I think the Chiefs get the win. I like the Chiefs to win this thing. I'm going to go with 30-27 is my score.
Okay.
I think the Chiefs do enough, and I think the Chiefs get the win. That's why I like the Chiefs in this game. And I think the offense is good enough. I think the defense has gotten better. And I think the Chiefs are going to win. I really do. And that's the vibe I've gotten in the Jaguars game, the Bengals game, and I think this is the same. I'm going with the Chiefs. X Factor. I want to say Patrick Mahomes, but that's cheating.
That is cheating.
So I'm not going to go Patrick Mahomes. My X Factor in this game, it's going to be someone that we don't expect. Yep. It's going to be like a Juan Thornhill, or it's going to be a Jalen Watson, or a McDuffie, somebody on defense. One of those guys is going to make a play, and you're going to go, that's awesome. We'll wrap things up with the mic drop coming up next. Time for the mic drop. What do you got, Fulton?
I have just put 2 wishes for the rest of this weekend. One, I hope all of you, our listeners, and Jake included, and everyone else I know, has great, just enjoyable, relaxing weekends the best they can. The other wish I have is that when we join you coming up on Monday, February 13th, we are celebrating the 2nd Super Bowl of the Patrick Mahomes era, and we are the happiest humans on the planet.
Yeah!
No matter what happens, thank you all for joining us on this ride of this football season, and just try and enjoy yourself, even if the Chiefs lose. We don't want it, but try not to let it ruin your weekend.
There are 4 people in the history of the NFL who've got 2 MVPs, 2 Super Bowls, and a Super Bowl MVP. Their names: Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Steve Young, and add Patrick Mahomes to the list. That's what I'm talking about. We'll talk to you on Monday, getting ready for a parade.